Welcome. This is part of the Master Class series, but we're going to just take a moment to do an AI preview. Various people in I see have probably already gone a little bit deeper, but so some of this could be review. But I've just got a few slides prepped. I'm going to go through, and then we'll kick it over to Drew to show some kind of real world stuff that's been built, and then any point you can ask questions. So um, we're probably going to diverge the master class and the AI and create a new AI build series to kind of go over different things that are being built with AI. Just a heads up there, but this is probably just part of the normal masterclass series here, and we'll kind of expect to maybe see more content there in the future. So, okay, first point is just the cost of running business systems world class just dropped tremendously, and we've got myself, Drew's our AI, one of our AI developers now that is going to walk us through some examples of some pretty cool stuff that's been built using these tools on the AI platform. And I guess the point here is just kind of we kind of hear all these terms, and I'm sure I'm missing some, but WMS, QMS, MES, CRM, ERP, it used to be just so very expensive to have all these platforms, to have them tailored to your business needs, and to have them integrated together. It still is costly, but that just with AI and with AI platforms, that cost is just never been less. And probably the next point is really this shadow stack concept, which that there's kind of the unofficial systems that the team actually uses to get work done. I don't know. I kind of like that term just from my past experience. It's very valuable stuff, but it can be invisible and very difficult to maintain at scale. And this is just kind of a slide kind of talking about that. So, one of the things that on an AI platform becomes possible is to start to, take these systems and bring them into your tech stack and bring them into your, systems of record. So these could be spreadsheets, shared drives, custom workarounds, things like that. So, that's why, I guess, and I think that's kind of all I had to say on that. But just with that, I want to pass it over to Drew and just show some kind of the real stuff we're building over here. And just to reiterate, the platform is agnostic to what ERP you're on. It does, obviously, we build a lot on Rover, but we're building things on various ERPs, various other systems, integrating other apps too. So, Drew, kick it over to you.
Sweet. Thanks, Bill. So I have some examples here that are some use cases on how we're kind of knocking out some of those manual tasks and how we're using Rover AI. So this is the pack slip matcher. The idea behind this was to knock out that task where a packing slip comes in to the warehouse, and then it goes to accounting, and accounting has to find an open purchase order in the system and match it up with the packing slip. So if you go ahead and upload a example packing slip here, and then analyze with AI. AI is going to extract all the information from the packing slip, bring it down here, and if you hit match to purchase orders, it's going to go in and find the open purchase order that matches the packing slip. Go ahead, post it, and then it'll post to Rover. We're going over here and go to sheet study.
So just while Drew's loading that up, I'm pretty pumped about this, having worked in warehouses before. Like a receiving process is kind of too what we're talking about here, where this app, this packing slip app, it can be put on a phone and ran as an app on a phone. Take a picture of the packing slip. It's entering an item receipt in the ERP, right? So not only is it helping accounting, but it could this could just be your receiving process.
Right. So if we take that receipt ID, so there it is in here, and then go to payable.e. And we just search up that PO number. And then it drags it all in here and puts all your receipts in your PO.e. And then if we go back to the app, it'll be in the close tab with the status of closed, just to notify you that everything is closed. And then some questions that we get on this are, how well can AI read the docs? Because I know some packing slips might come in with handwriting, and the answer to that is really, as long as the packing slip is visible to read, the OCR tool will pick it up and it'll do it pretty good. And another question is, how can it handle multiple line items at once? And yes, it also does a good job with that. Another example here that we're kind of using internally is the accounts payable invoice manager. So if I go ahead and upload an invoice from a vendor, AI is going to do the same thing and extract that information from the invoice, bring it down here. Now it's going to suggest the appropriate GL accounts based off of the description. It's going to give it a GL account. And this is nice too, because it gives it an approval process. And for sake of the demonstration, I'm in the admin role, but you can have an employee role and a manager role. And the employee role will only have access to upload an invoice but not approve it. So it's nice that it gives it kind of an approval process. So if we go ahead and submit it for approval, then it would go to the manager. The manager would go into its approval queue, find the one that is pending approval, look through it. If something is wrong, you have the ability to edit it. So if you wanted to make a change, you could go in here, make a change, hit save and resubmit. It'll make that change, and then you can go ahead and approve it. So now it's approved. Here it is. You can look it over one more time. When everything looks good, you can send it to Rover. And if we go back into Rover and search up AP.e,
And so to everybody, we're going to get a little bit under the hood after this, just talk about kind of how this is working and how you might use it. These are pretty unique, but you can imagine adopting this to whatever you need in your business. And I guess the point here is just it, we're not having to go into the ERP at this point to enter all these records. We're doing it through this kind of custom UI, whatever, app, etc. That we want to kind of build. So go ahead, Drew. Yeah, I'd like to see the record still.
and then the app will give you a AP ID down here. Just go ahead and search that up here. And then here's all your information that the app gave you. And it also has a AP aging report. to just give you a nice view on everything. And then once that invoice is paid, it will fall off your total outstanding here. And yeah. Does anybody
Okay.
have any questions on any of this?
Yep. Go ahead, Bob. Make sure
Yes.
everybody's can chat too, and go ahead. Yep.
Going back to the receiving process, okay?
Yep.
Unfortunately, my speaker was my I wasn't hearing the sound for the first few minutes, but I think I caught the rest of it. Going back to the receiving process, the one that you demonstrated, about how long did it take you to create that within Rover? And the next question is, or do you buy it already pre-built? How does that all flow?
Sure. Drew, can you kind of talk to that a little bit about the process of building that?
Yeah, I mean, these apps are very simple to build. It's literally just go in here and kind of tell AI what you want, and then it'll prompt you back questions. You answer those questions, and this app probably took me a total of 2 or 3, maybe 4 hours to build.
Yeah. And actually, that's probably a good transition, Bob and Drew. Do you mind jumping to the platform and just showing the integrations, toolkits, features that those are kind of all you need to build that app in 2 to 4 hours. So, if you don't mind expanding that carrot a little bit so we can see the menu on the left. There we go. So integrations, Drew. For example, let's use the packing slip matcher. What integrations did you have to have in place to have AI build that app for you?
So right now it's hooked up to the demo system. So I use this demo.new integration, which has the API base and the API key to talk to Rover. And then it also has access to a data set, the AR detail data set. So it's looking at this for all the AR information, and it's getting the answers based off of this data set. And that integration is just there to kind of the bridge to talk to Rover.
Yeah.
And those are the only two things that I put into the app to make that app possible.
Yeah. Yeah. So Bob, just to kind of further, if you have your ERP integration set up, you could either interact directly with the ERP, or you could pull in some data like a report or something and have it leverage that. So that's a good example of kind of using two different options there, or two different things to kind of build an app. But once you have it, that's it. So
right.
And then as far as making changes or talking about the UI, I don't know if we want to go back into that, Drew, and just show again. It's if you wanted to change it, you could come into here, edit, and then basically kind of ask it to change, add a button or change this, change that, and then iterate with it. So
right. And if the AI is not sure on what you're saying, it'll just prompt you a question in the chat. You answer the question, and then it'll go ahead and make that change to the app.
Yep. Go ahead, Amir. Or actually, before we jump to Amir, Bob, did that answer your question? Just want to make sure. If not, you can throw something in the chat too.
Only other thing is you talked about connecting, obviously, to, in this case, it would be an ERP. Is there any specific requirements in this particular case that I'd be looking at? It would be Unidata. Any problems or gotchas there?
Okay, so Unidata, we have, you can connect, depending on the Universe version, I think you have an integration pre-built to pull in data from Universe. Otherwise, you have to have some APIs written to pull in the data, or for AI to build an integration to your Unidata system. So there's a combination of options for you there. If you're okay with pulling certain data sets in from Unidata and then building apps on top of it, you can do that today, with a pretty light setup. If you want it to change data in the system, then you have to have that API available to write to it. That's all. And we can help, in that sense. That's what we do, kind of, we have been doing for years. So go ahead, Amir.
Good morning, everyone. I've got
Morning.
two questions on the edit side. One question is that since I was looking, is all the changes going to happen through AI, or the user like us would have the capability to micromanage a specific piece of code? Is that going to be done like solely through AI, or if I want to make a specific change that I know where exactly in the code I need to make that, because I'm not able to see the code here. So would that be possible or no? And second, just asking if this is like a JavaScript, Python, or what is the code behind it?
So if I didn't want to use the chat, I could go up here to the files. And for example, say I wanted to change the integration and I wanted to write to a different system. I can go into the Informer YAML and just take this integration ID, which is coming from that integration that I showed you earlier. So you pull the integration ID here. So rover demo.new. Here's your integration ID. If I wanted to change it to Rover Zoom Assist, I would take this ID and copy it. Go back to the edit.
So the files
And switch out
themselves.
here.
Yeah. Now the code though itself, the script, if you go back to the files, Drew, there's 38 files in this app. So I think that's where a lot of the code lives, Amir. So like you'll see kind of those, it's kind of organized for you and whatnot. That's where you could go in and kind of micromanage it too.
Yeah, that answers my question. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions at this point? Might be
Only
a little.
has one in the chat.
Oh yeah, what do you got? What do we got, Jake? Let's see. Oh, AP Manager. Is there an edit log approval review process? Is it learning from edits for suggested GL?
So the GL accounts are coming from Rover, and AI is making the decisions based off of the item description to come up with an appropriate GL account.
Okay. I think the question would be kind of, could you build a feature in where if it had trouble matching it and then you assign the right account, that it could learn from it and build on that? How would we approach? Could you do that?
Yeah, so if and correct me if I'm wrong on kind of what the question is here, but if the GL account was wrong, I would go in and change it manually, and then the AI would learn from that. So next time, if it was the description was kind of the same, it would put in the one that you changed.
And it already works that way. Okay. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay.
Right. Yep. So yeah, the more you use this stuff, it will learn from the mistakes. And again, this is all completely customizable. So whatever you would need different or want different, you literally just go into the edit and tell the AI to make that change.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Any other questions before we give everybody some time back today?
How do I get in touch with you guys?
We'll get in touch with you, Bob.
Okay.
I'll
Okay.
guarantee that. Okay.
Okay.
No, thank you. Thanks for the question too. It was a great question. And okay. Any other questions? Dennis, go ahead. You may have to unmute yourself if I can try to do it for you too.
There we go.
All right.
There.
Can hear you. Yep.
All right. Hey, sorry I was late. So I probably missed a lot of great questions. One thing that I'm interested in is that if our data, say part numbers and are weren't managed like over the last 20 years, there's a lot of part numbers that are obsolete but haven't been deactivated, or there's some inconsistency of part number data. How would AI help us clean that up? Or do we have to clean house first before we get going? Because I know a lot of it's just rooted on the part number.
Yeah.
Not all of it, but
So I'll try to answer, and Drew, you can add if you have anything. But I think the answer is like the data is in your database, right? So you can certainly ask AI to go through it, and probably the way I would do it today would probably be to have it make suggestions, and then you have to approve the changes. Like if, let's say, it goes through your 20,000 parts and it finds 5,000 of them that it thinks should be inactivated or something like that. Maybe you have to approve batches or approve it before it actually is going to go and update the database. If you feel very strong, if you have a very high level of confidence in what selection criteria it is, then you could probably just set it loose and give it the instructions to like look for this, look for that, and if it's if it hasn't been sold in 5 years, check the inactive, put the record inactive in our system. So I don't know, Drew, any other thoughts there?
Yeah, as long as you got like a good set of rules to give it, then
Yeah. So we built some apps for sales order entry that are just reading PDF POs from customers. And then what we do in that one, or what we've done so far in that one is, here are the lines. This is what the sales order looks like to me before committing it to the system, and you can edit it. So there's definitely a lot of use cases where you want to use AI to do the grunt work, but then you want to still be the co-pilot in the situation and or have the approval before it goes into your system. Go ahead, Jake.
Well, I think this is a great use case for pulling everything into the BI to visually look at it, because you can pull product information when it was last received, sold, or anything like that, and then you can easily sort that data and go through it.
Yeah. All right. Just kind of one more. Oh, here we go. Could an AI agent be built to suggest purge data from these data sets based on in certain date ranges? True?
let me just read that one more time.
Sure. I mean, I'll jump in there. I think it definitely, like, as long as you have a put, so you might need an API call, Holly, to be able to effectively purge the data. On our data sets, we have puts, so there's no question about that. But as long as you have the right API in place to purge any data, then you could have it do it for you.
Right. Yeah, as long as all the connections are there, that's definitely possible.
Yeah. Okay, Amir.
Well, I have one more question. Since you came with the idea of the AI agent to read a PDF, let's say a purchase order from customer and create a new sales order, I've got two questions here. Like in Rover, we have the product configurator where we configure new part numbers based on the specs we have set already in the configurator. So, one question: would the AI agent be able to configure a part number that doesn't exist in Rover based on reading the contents from a PDF? And second, would that agent be able to attach that document into the sales order record or any record that it created? Would that be able to attach the source to that created record?
Okay. So the answer there would be yes, as far as like could you handle the configuration, or could you build something that would handle the configuration um, up front and then just create the part number if it's needed? That's an option. And then we've built things where we are uploading PDFs, for example, Amir. This is, we've literally built these apps where um, it'll take a PDF from the customer and it will go into the database and it will look for the parts. And if the parts don't exist, it will create them. So it's a kind of a similar use case to that. But in this case, we're adding another layer of kind of configuration, context, and knowledge there. So it's all going to depend on how good the instructions are to give as far as what are the key attributes you want to configure, etc. But I definitely think it's something to explore. Like you could do with this, explore with. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. The other thing we've kind of we've done or dealt with at this point, another project was on product information kind of databases. So like, can you go out? Can it get some PDFs, or can it take your technical data sheets and start to build a knowledge base on it and answer technical support questions? That's a use case too that has been dealt with already and is pretty effective. I mean, most of our customers know this. We publish our support assistant, and it's kind of intended to help answer some of the frontline questions, and that's referring to documentation and documents and other repository information to give those answers. So, okay. All right, last call, or maybe not last call, but any questions, keep them coming. They're good. Yep. Go ahead, Amir.
Sorry, this would be my last question. Now, since Drew mentioned that this application took him maybe 3 to 4 hours to be built, would you guys have like any other meetings where you will walk through the steps that made such application? Maybe that not that long, but just to make us more familiar how this got created, so we can learn those steps as well.
It's a great idea for the next. Maybe that'll be the next one to kind of go through and build an app. It's a good idea. Go ahead, Dennis. And just
Go ahead. No, you
Dennis,
first.
just let me real quick. Amir, just so you know, like when we upgrade to the AI from on the platform, or we're doing a new setup, we're obviously doing some training there, and that would include that. But I think it's a great idea to do it here. So we'll definitely. I think building an app would be kind of a cool thing next month, maybe. If anybody has any ideas on what app they would like to see built, put it in the chat, and maybe we'll try to mine from that. Okay, Dennis, do you still have a question, or?
Hey, Bill. A question is, right now we're standardizing part numbers, and we're taking a close look at our legacy data, and we want to, and we're starting to upload bill of materials into Rover under the part number assembly. But a lot of it is manual, from either a SolidWorks PDF or a spreadsheet, and uploading it into Rover. Now, I'm wondering if there's a and one problem that we do have, because we're in the phase of standardizing, is one typo of, like using a plus sign instead of a, or a decimal or something, it won't accept it into Rover. And it's very time consuming for the person inputting the bill of materials, like 32 parts into Rover. Have you had any do you have an app? Do you have an app for that? Basically what I'm saying.
I don't think we've touched that one in particular yet, but we certainly could. It's a good, we get like the bomb import is a that's a pretty common use case. So how about I'll reach out to you or something, and we'll see if we can do a quick like little discovery call on that in the next few days. Does that work?
Sounds good. All right.
Okay. Bob?
Yeah, one last question. It's just from what I'm seeing on the screen. Is Rover, if assuming again going back to pulling out of my database being
Yep.
Unidata, do you then to pull that information into Rover and use whatever database Rover uses and then export it back out?
So on the AI platform, it sits on a Postgres SQL database. So technically, we're going to distinguish between Rover AI and BI and Rover ERP, which is on an OpenQM typically database. So we're not pulling data into OpenQM. We're any data that you're pulling in as a data set would be on a Postgres SQL database. If that answers the question, it's kind of a unique place there. But again, with the integration, you could be pulling data directly from the Unidata database as well and right into it. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I needed. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. All right. Well, we'll close here, and if you have more ideas, we got to create a sales order from customer PO. We'll definitely do that. That's a good one. I think we already have some prototypes out there. Yeah.
We've actually already built something just like that right here.
Oh, you want to show it now?
I don't have it. I think I can. I'm not sure if I have any samples
let's
in
do
here.
this. Let's do this. I think the idea is to see how we build it. So maybe let's just reserve that for the next one of like, we'll just go through and build it on a Rover system. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Sweet.
Okay. Well, thank you everybody for joining us, and reach out to myself, Drew, Allison, Jake, anybody else on our team that you're familiar with, if you have any questions. Okay. Appreciate it.
See you guys.
Thank you.